world at large, they know that Africa's future is in the hands of our youth. So New Africa Foundation specifically requested us to come and address African youth, starting with the youth in Ghana. And from what I'm hearing, the youth had actually come from all over Africa, and some came from outside Africa, specifically to hear the message of empowerment, the message about our future, the message about the miseducation of not only our youth, but us as Africans, the message about empowering our children and letting them know that now it is the time for us to do what we must do to take our Africa back. For far too long, we have been lied to. For far too long, we have been miseducated. And so as elders, those of the ones who are sitting with me today, and many others, we understand that we have failed our youth, but we do have a responsibility to make it right.
This is very, very disrespectful. Something is happening right now. It happened some hours ago. And as an African YouTuber who does African content and passionate as an African, I am a Pan-Africanist. I speak truth for what it is. Something bad has happened to our most beloved individuals in Africa. People who are not afraid to speak against the wrongdoings being done to Africans. People who say it for what it is. Apparently, what they say is not being taken good care of by other people who think... I just don't know what to say right now. I'm even out of words. How can the Ghanaian government, the government that itself says it welcomes African Americans to Africa, the government where Marcus Garvey says has connection with the African diaspora, the government which is the gateway to Africa, shut off this meeting. It's not like they don't have the resources to hold these three people. Dr. Arikana Chihombori, PLO Lumumba, and another professor. They organized a meeting for the youth, but the Ghanaian government just shut it off for lame reasons. If you ask me, I tell you, this is the work. This is the work of some corrupt African leaders. Leaders who don't want Africans to be enlightened. Leaders who still want Africans to continue sleeping. Actually, I'm really pissed off. I'm really pissed off. Everywhere on YouTube you find video about this. I'm like, I can't just sit back and keep quiet. This message has to reach many people. This message has to be told. This is outright disrespectful. As a sister said it, it's going to backfire. It's going to backfire on those government. These people are going to Ghana to educate the young people, the upcoming generations. These young people are the people who are going to train the future generations. These are the young people who are going to be leaders. So people traveled all over the world, all over the continent, all over the world to come to Accra, only to be disappointed by the Ghanaian government. Nana Akufo-Addo, this is a mistake and you should pay for this. It will come back to you. This is not right. You should have held this meeting. Let it happen. If you're true Africanist, as you claim to be, this is wrong. Have a look at this. You know what? These people who are ashamed, these people are really ashamed. Imagine flying all over the one side of the world to another, one side of the continent to another, only to be disappointed. Listen to what they said, and then I'll get back in the end.
And we do know that with our little wisdom and the energy and the intelligence of our youth, together we can take our Africa in a new direction. That is what we came here to do. And that is what New Africa Foundation has asked us to do. We do know that our leaders cannot lead us on their own. They need all of us. So the message that we were going to deliver to our youth today was the message of hope, the message of resilience, and the message that says the Africa we want can only be built by us for us. And for us to succeed at doing so, we must be united. That the African youth are Africa's future. Without them, there is no future for Africa. And as elders, we have a responsibility to share with them the truth and nothing but the truth. That is the message that we came here to deliver. That is what New Africa Foundation had requested us to do. We may not be at the convention center, but we intend to continue to preach the gospel of truth until we reach the promised land. I have no doubt in my mind that we will get there. Because Africa, the Africans, the people I like to describe as the beautiful, intelligent, sophisticated, highly adaptable, and totally indestructible human beings, the mothers and fathers of humanity, we will get to the promised land. Woo! And that's why we're here.
Thank you very much. My good sister, Dr. Arikana, has spoken for me, and I believe for all of us. We came here to Accra, Ghana, to share our message. It's the message of hope. It's the message that Africa needs at this time. And there is no better place in the continent of Africa to begin that message than Accra, Ghana. It is in this Accra, Ghana, that the Osageyefo Kwame Nkrumah, almost 67 years ago, spoke to the world and told the world that the independence of Ghana meant nothing if the continent of Africa was not free. 67 years later, we were congregating here in Accra in the very same place where the founding fathers and mothers of Ghana congregated to share the message of hope. Invited as we were by the New Africa Foundation, with one single instruction that we have lamented for too long, agonized for too long, and the time is now to organize. That is the innocent message that we came here to deliver. And in a manner totally inexplicable to us, we are not at that venue. But is it not the wise to say, when the world serves you a lemon, ask not for an orange, make yourself lemonade? We are here, therefore, to say that the message will be alive and well. And you who are here, young and old, you are the conduit via which we are now telling the world that the journey of hope continues apace, not only within the continent of Africa, which is the mother continent, but to Africans in the diaspora. I have no doubt in my mind that there is a conspiracy of sorts by the elements that it should happen the way it has happened. So this is not an occasion for lamentation. It is an occasion for redoubling our efforts and our presence here in Accra, Ghana. My good friend, Honorable Obi, my dear sister, Dr. Arikana Chihombori-Quao. This is the occasion for which the English word serendipity was created. It is a serendipitous occasion that heralds a great future for the continent of Africa. So that looking forward, a meeting such as this will happen not only here in Accra, Ghana, but I look forward to a meeting such as this taking place in Ouagadougou, in Burkina, taking place in Dakar, in Senegal, in Nairobi, in Kenya, in Johannesburg, in South Africa, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, because this is about the continent of Africa. And we say this at a time when we know that Africa has promised to herself that we are going to make more intimate our interaction. This is why the Africa Continental Free Trade Area is headquartered here in Accra, Ghana. This Accra, Ghana is where all Africans of goodwill pay homage, because out of this Accra, Ghana, there was a great son, the Osageyefo Kwame Nkrumah. Shall be well with Accra, Ghana.
Thank you.
We might not be at the convention, but that will not stop the conversation. We only shifted venue, so the conversation continues. We're in Ghana to start a conversation about Africa. Africa for too long has suffered, and everybody knows the reason why Africa has suffered. People can try to present it in different stages. The Prof speaks about it every day. Africa has been going through what it's going through because of what I always say, that it is due to one problem: leadership. It is failed leadership over the years that brought Africa where it is. I want to start a conversation because of what Dr. Arikana has said, talking to the youth of Africa. No continent in the world today have the potential of Africa. Not one. We are the second largest in terms of population and size, but our potential is far greater than even number one, because today Africa is the only continent that have a population of 1.1 billion youths, energetic, talented, ready to leave the world in different areas of the world. Africa is home to the biggest, highest amount of natural resources, from minerals to, we have 65% today of the world all cultivated arable land. So imagine what we can do. We can feed the world. We can do everything. But ironically, because of what I started with, failed leadership over the years, Africa is also home to the highest number of poor people. Out of the 700 million people in extreme poverty today, 431 million live in Africa. Over 30% of our population. If you go to multidimensional poverty, out of 1.1 billion, over 60% is in Africa, with Congo and Nigeria leading. Today, in the surface of the world, Congo has the highest amount of natural, call it minerals, over 24 trillion. Nigeria has similar situation. You can extrapolate Congo situation to all over Africa, where they have everything, but they are producing poverty. it cannot continue with our youth. With the energy they have, they can lead the world in technology, in health, in entertainment, in everything. All they want is leadership, purposeful leadership. Africa has what is, look at its wealth, resources, shamelessly stolen and put in private pockets. It cannot continue. So we are just here to continue conversation. It's not about any country, anything, but talking to the youth of Africa to know that they can change the world. They can change the way things are in Africa. Africa should not be a continent where people come to beg or plead for aid. We should be contributing to aid of other people with the resources we have. And that's what Africa should be. Their own Africa should be. That's all the conversation is all about. It's about the future of Africa. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our issues as Africans today are issues of the mind. The most dangerous African of today is an African who is colonized, educated or not. Coming from Zimbabwe, I can honestly tell you that the people who are moving Zimbabwe in terms of the awakening are the villagers. They seem to have a better understanding of what is really going on and are less likely to be sold, are less likely to sell their souls. And you must look at the people around you. Some of the most difficult people, I was called by the Africa group at the World Bank one time to address them for their annual event. And I went through all the issues and the pillars of why Africa is where Africa is, and I analyzed the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization that the 14 African former French colonies were made to sign. I thought everybody understood. But at the end of it, 2 African-born economists working for the World Bank come to me and said, "But Ambassador, why do you keep talking about the Berlin Conference? It's a thing of the past." And to my utter shock, I'd gone through the process of explaining the Berlin Conference and that it is a policy that was put in place in order to see to it that Africa and her children are forever defeated and dominated. And that as long as we have a country called Togo, as long as we have a country called Burkina Faso, as long as we have a country called Malawi, we are defeated. Intentionally so. So these 2 economists working for the World Bank are the same ones now that are being used as instruments of our own self-destruction. They're the ones that are being sent to Africa to sell policies that are detrimental to Africa's progress. So the question then becomes, what is our education doing for us? And it goes back to the miseducation. The people who are in power are the ones who are failing to stand up and challenge those who are raping us in broad daylight. Pardon my choice of words. I was once asked by one African, "Ambassador, let's try to be nice to these Westerners. Let's not be too direct as we challenge them." And I did ask this brother of mine, I said, "My brother, help me out. How do I tell a man who is raping me to rape me nicely?" I said, "Help me with the language." And this was an educated professor who is advising me to be nice. How long am I going to continue to be nice? Those are the educated people who are sitting in the boardrooms and they choose to be mute. And when they are mute while representing us, that means 1.4 billion Africans are mute. It is not the villager who is sitting at the boardroom table. It is the elite, the educated. So my son, what is our education doing to us? What have we done to undo the colonial education? I hear right here in Ghana, perfect example. There's not a single Kwame Nkrumah book that is required reading in the Ghanaian educational system. Whose problem is that? Most African countries, our educational system is still the colonial educational system. So what do you expect from the leaders that we have today if their education remains colonized? So may I say, the most dangerous person for Africa today is a colonized African. And we must challenge each and every one of us to have a serious conversation with the image in the mirror. Are you colonized? Where do you stand when it comes to the issues to do with Africa? How do you feel about the continued exploitation of Africa? How do you feel about neocolonization, imperialism? Do you even understand it? Do you even know what the Berlin Conference means when it comes to your ability to buy bread, to your ability to get a job? Can you connect the dots back to the policies that are designed to keep us where they want us to be? It is the elite, it is the educated who are refusing to challenge the status quo and speak on our behalf, educated or not. So I'd like to answer your question by saying our miseducation is what is leading us to the Africa that we are today, an Africa that cannot stand up and defend our turf with facts, with our truths. Ours is a simple issue. You see, truths and facts, these are constants that never change. All we gotta do is stand up. I'd like to end by saying, some of you have seen a poster. There were black men who were bending over, and there was a table on their backs. And at the bottom, it simply said, and on top, of course, sitting around the table, were white people who were feasting. And the caption simply said, all we gotta do is stand up. Why have we failed to stand up?
You know what? You might think that you've stopped the Africans. You can kill the messenger, but you can never kill the message. The message does not have a body. You can never kill it. These people, despite the shameful things we've done to them, they've been able to share their information with the press. The press was there. As you know, the press will get even to the depths of hell to extract information. And that is what they did. They went after Dr. Arikana Chihombori-Quao, Julius Malema, we have PLO Lumumba, and the other professor. And they shared, like, they thought it would bring an end to the information they wanted to share. Somebody somewhere is trying really hard for these people not to share information with African leaders. But lo, it has backfired. They'll still share. Even if it's not Ghana, we are left with the 54 more countries in Africa. Like, Ghanaians, shame on you. Ghanaian government, how can you do this? These people have to speak their minds, and that is what they did. And congratulations for speaking out. Kindly do share this video. Share this video that Africans need to get reawakened. Africans need awareness. Africans sometimes can be their own enemies. The enemy is not always from afar. The enemy is always from the within. And these people are puppets. The puppets we always talk about. The puppet I always talk about. The puppets these speakers always talk about. It has come to an end. It has really shown who which... it has really shown. See you in the next video, guys. And let's see what's happening tomorrow.